watching the Let's Talk Variety show, and I'm your host, Andy Asher, and variety is what it is today. Like telling you about media personality, socialite, and businesswoman Kim Kardashian at the soccer game on Friday to watch Lionel Messi to score his first goal for Inter Miami Major League Soccer.
What brings you out tonight?
My son. He's obsessed with soccer, and I will do anything for my babies. So I travel the world. They've made me, we do soccer trips.
She has a massive following on social media, and she is considered a fashion icon. And today's guest, he has an empowering story to tell about the revelations, the triumphs, and the heartbreak in navigating relationships. He says at times, we all get stuck. His name is Frank Zakari. He talks about how we all get stuck and how to get unstuck, like he was forced to do earlier in life when he made a career change that he ended up really regretting.
I took over an insurance agency, which is when you go from high tech, very progressive, very proactive, to insurance, very reactive. It's like dying and going to hell.
Does that sound familiar? We've all been there. More from Frank Zakari is coming up. But first, let's check in with Mimi in her kitchen.
Hello. Hello. How are you guys doing? So today I'm gonna make some prawns. All right. So after I clean them, devein them, I have prepared some spices here, with our paprika, cayenne pepper, garlic powder, dried oregano, dried parsley, and I'm just gonna marinate this with olive oil. I put a little bit of olive oil in there, like that, and then just mix everything up. That's a nice color. Paprika, cayenne pepper, oregano, parsley, and then of course don't forget the kosher salt. Don't put a lot of salt, just a little, because you're gonna see why later. And then some fresh ground pepper, black pepper. All right. So while this is marinating, I'm gonna start cutting my spinach, my garlic, my tomatoes, and then come back to show you how I cook it. I'll see you later.
Thank you so much, Mimi. We will see you very soon. Now let's jump into the supermarket tabloids. For this week, we talked about Kim Kardashian just a moment ago. The In Touch headline has her somehow linked up recently with single football player Tom Brady, an untold story about Raquel Welch, and the 10 happiest marriages. Now that is a nice way to close out this section. So now, let's get into today's interview with Frank Zakari, who talks all about getting unstuck in life.
But it was a means to an end. And that was one of the areas that many people get stuck in, is where the job is. I didn't like it. I didn't particularly want to be there, but I had these two young daughters that I had to get raised and get through school and get launched. So you just did it. So the way I could cope with it without jumping off of a building was, it's a means to an end. When the youngest one graduates from college, then I'll sell this entity and I'll decide what I want to be next, what's going to be next in my life. So that was the plan. So the plan worked. My daughter graduated from Arizona State a few years ago in December. I sold the company in March. And then it was, okay, now what are you going to do? Now I'm unstuck from that job situation, but now what? What's the next step going to be? Sure. And so as I went through my corporate life, what I discovered was the things that caused me the most pain and suffering were not stuff that I knew. It was stuff that I didn't know, and I didn't expect, and I wasn't planning for it, or I didn't know where to turn to get help or advice. Okay? These things are going to happen. They are going to happen. And many times you never see them coming. Even if your personal and professional life are going well, everybody gets stuck. Getting stuck is inevitable. Staying stuck is a choice.
Tell me how you can apply that discovery you made about becoming unstuck to those of us just living a life.
Yeah. Well, we get stuck in all kinds of different ways. Some of it is professional in a job, and it could be you're in a toxic culture. What I hear more times than not, Andy, particularly people as we get older, are saying, I know what I'm doing, but it's too much of a pain in the neck to change. Right? So I don't want to do the application process. I don't want, because most of the time the applications online don't work. And then I don't want to go through the interview. I just don't want to do all this. So we just stay stuck. That's a case where we choose to remain stuck. I'll give you a case that I had. I was working for an organization and they were paying me really well. I mean, they paid me a lot of money. And as I started delving into things, they were doing very unethical stuff, maybe borderline illegal. And I said, well, I'm not sure that that's the case or not, but I'm getting paid so much money, so let me just continue on. Until you get to a point where you say, wait a minute, this is just flat wrong. And so sometimes we get stuck because we're making too much money and we don't want to leave it or don't want to give it up, or what am I going to do with my life when I move on? And we get stuck in relationships. And you may be in a relationship that's you're not happy anymore. But again, it's easier to stay in the relationship and be unhappy than it is to make the necessary, first have the necessary conversations to discuss what is going on and why is it happening, what should we do with it. Okay.
Yeah, those are dilemmas that you've just described right there, and I think that in both cases, you are more comfortable staying in your stuck position than getting unstuck.
That's normally the case. We're creatures of habit, and we fall into a rut, and then it's a matter of now it takes energy and time and effort. And a lot of times we just don't want to put in the time and energy and effort, particularly as we get older. We just don't want to do it. It's just easier to go along and just just flounder your way through it, and we'll see what happens at the end, particularly if you're getting close to retirement age. You're saying, I'm just going to wait it out. I've got X number of years to retire, and then I'm out of here.
Yes, and I think the moral of the story of what you're describing here is that that's not an avenue to get unstuck. In fact, that's a road to being stuck in something for the rest of your life.
Exactly right. And I have run into people over the course of my travels who are miserable. And you say, well, why do you stay there? Well, it's too hard to change, or it's too much energy to change. But I have this habit, or not this habit, this hobby that I have over here, and maybe that gives me joy. And so then you start rationalizing. Well, I can rationalize this job that I can't stand because it's giving me the funding to do what I really like doing over here, which is this hobby, whatever it happens to be. And that's okay. Where it gets nasty is when you're unhappy with a situation where you're stuck, be it in a relationship or a job or whatever it is, and you don't do anything about it, and you just continue to spiral down. And you're making everybody around you miserable. You're miserable. Your spouse, your kids, if you have them, they're upset. They're not happy. And not only are you miserable, but you make everybody around you miserable. And that's just not worth it. Nor is it fair. That's not fair.
I agree with you on that. So now what?
Now you got to take a look inward and say, what is it going to take for me to get where I want to go? Most of the time, we're stuck between our ears. That's where we're stuck. There's biases that we grew up with, the environment that we were in, life experiences that have said, this is the way it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, the terms that drive me crazy. It is what it is, and that's just the way I am. Okay, well, that's the way you choose to be. All right, now it's a matter of, well, what do I want? What would make me happy? All right, and then what do I have to do to get there? Not just continue to wallow in self-pity, but what is it that I need to do? Do I need more training? Do I need to join a volunteer group? Do I need to get involved in something else? What else do I need to do to start the process to move down that path? And that's the big thing is, number one, do you want to do it? It's like dealing with an alcoholic or an addict or anything else. Until until you want to do it, it isn't going to happen. That's the first step. And then once you want to do it, then you have to reach out. And there are people that will help you. There are tons and tons of people who will help you. But you have to reach out, and you have to be willing to put in the energy and the effort.
Yeah, and sometimes the effort is enormous, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't fall in your lap in some cases.
No, it does not, and it can take years. But are you moving forward? And are you continuing to step in, keep going forward? The thing that I say in a lot of my talks is, just pick up the pieces, whatever the situation is, pick up the pieces, start moving forward. Even if you take a half a step a day. And some days you're going to take a step forward and 3 steps backwards. But keep moving forward. And as you keep moving forward to get unstuck, better times and better people will come into your life. It happens. You attract what you put out there. And if you're going forward and you're trying and you're making the energy, things will come to you.
Do you think there's a constant theme running through what you speak and write about?
The constant theme is human nature. Human nature is we want to be comfortable, we want to be safe, we want to feel protected. And many times we find ourselves in situations where we believe that we're safe, protected, and feeling comfortable. And then as you evolve and you grow as a person, you find out that, no, this isn't it. This isn't what I want anymore.
And things change so much. How do we deal with something like that?
Multiple times. I never dreamed I was going to ever get divorced. I never dreamed I was going to be a single parent. It wasn't in the plans. I didn't think that was going to occur, but it did. Okay, so now what? Now what it comes down to, either as I said before, you're going to wallow in self-pity, or are you going to pick yourself up and move forward? Okay, and that's the mindset is, here's my current situation, what am I going to do about it? And then where do I go for help? And I say this all the time, it's not what am I going to do, it's who am I going to go to? Who can help me get over these obstacles or these hurdles that I'm now facing in this new transition in my life, be it a new job or be it retirement, or be it I want to start a little side business or whatever it is. You find out who you know, as I said in the beginning, is far more important than what you know. Now the knowledge and skill that you gain is wonderful. Now how does it translate into where you want to go next? And habits are difficult because we are creatures of habit, and this is what I do, right? And we get connected. I did it for a long time. You get connected with your career. I am a high-tech executive. Okay, well, what do you do, Frank? Oh, I'm a high-tech executive. There was no Frank. There was Frank, the high-tech executive.
How do you overcome that? Because you have to become practically a different person.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and it's hard. It is hard. You go through grief, the grieving process, and you're going to go through it. And you absolutely are going to go through it. And you can delay grief, but you cannot put it off. You're going to have to go through it. So you go through the grieving process, and then it's now what? What am I going to do? I have to do something. I have to get up and go forward. Did you ever see the movie Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah,
Okay, when they're coming onto the shore and they're getting blasted and they're getting killed quickly, and Tom Hanks' character, who was the captain, says, we can't just stay here. We have to do something. We have to move forward. And so they started the movement, and many didn't make it, but they moved forward. Okay, you pick up, here's the situation. What is it that I have to do? One step at a time. It's not going to get cured like that. Depression, anxiety, it's not.
Well, those are hard realities. I mean, I think that's a pretty good metaphor for what you're talking about. Some make it, some don't.
Exactly. It's exactly the case, and it's sad in some situations. And and again, as I said before, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. Now, if somebody wants to get out of whatever the isolation of the problem that they're in, they will take the initial steps. You're going to have to do it. Your friends and family can come along and say, come on, Frank, let's go out and do this. Let's go do this. Let's get involved with this. And if you constantly keep saying no, the opportunities are going to go by the board, right? So eventually you say, okay, let's try it. Let me try this and let's see what happens. Where does it take me? Where do I go? Do I like it? You may not like that particular option, and that's okay, but there'll be another one. And so what else do you want to have occur in your life?
Yeah, those are good points and something to keep in mind. And I think it takes a strong person, it takes a determined person to follow through, because it's real easy to get down the road and say, well, I've been there, done that, didn't work. But
that happens more times than you can imagine. Where, and I go through this from time to time. I said, I've done that before, it didn't work, right? Now that's not going to happen, right? And then it takes a conscious effort. You have to sit down and say, well, it didn't work back then. Maybe it'll work now. Maybe because I learned through pain and suffering, all these new things, maybe it'll be different based on the experiences that I have and the knowledge that I've learned and the wisdom that I've gained as I try to move forward into whatever it is I want to do.
Now it sounds to me like your 4-part series of books, straighten me out if I don't have it quite right, but they deal with getting unstuck. Can you talk about how they connect? How they all connect?
Sure. They all connect because it's realizing what you don't know, and that's a really interesting dynamic. Because I'm a mentor and judge with the University of California Entrepreneurship Academy, and they had brilliant minds, obviously, right? 19,224 patents and licenses when they contacted me. Okay, but 65% of the revenue comes from 5 patents. And as they were going through, well, why is this the case? And they came up with 5 reasons. The first reason was, does it meet the market need? And I said nicely, as nice as I could, that's a nice way to say you don't pass the who cares test. Nice knowledge, nice technology. Who cares? Nobody cares. Okay. And I said, let's add a 6th reason. And they said, what would that be? And I said, they don't know what they don't know. The professor looked at me and said, come on, Frank, how do you not know what you don't know? I said, well, if you're going down in life, whatever it is, a job, a career, love, whatever, and you get to a point you're not sure where to go, that's what you don't know. Now, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with little clones who think and act and talk the way you do? If yes, and you look to them for help, they don't know what to do. So who has been where you want to go, particularly as you transition, particularly as we get older? Who's been where we want to go? Because they will help you. That's the thing that blows me away. We so often, as we get older, we don't want to ask for help. We're embarrassed about it, or make me feel like we're not good enough, or why would anybody care? People care. A lot of people are my age are waiting and hoping that somebody says, hey, Frank, what are you doing now? What's up? All right, and I'd say, hey, why don't you come with me? I go over here and I do this. Would this be something you're interested in? I live near, when I owned the insurance agency in Sacramento, there was Starbucks under the corner, right? So you'd go by Starbucks and there'd be a group of senior guys sitting around every day, every morning, solving all the world problems, right? And I would come in every day and I'd all buy them a round of coffee, and I'd say to them, well, guys, what problems did we solve today? And they would say, well, today we solved the China expansion and whatever, right? Okay, stuff that they have no, but what that we're doing is that was the companionship and the camaraderie that they needed to have something to do, to get up every day, to go do something, even if it's just go have coffee with a bunch of people. But they got up and they did something. And then from that something, other things stuff started to evolve. So one of them liked minor league baseball. We had the Sacramento River Cats there. So they would, okay, let's arrange a River Cat day. And so they would go to a River Cat game. And again, it gave them something to do. And I think that's the magic, is if you don't have anything to do, that's when the idle mind is the devil's workshop, or whatever my mother used to say to me all the time. That's when things start to deteriorate, when you don't have something to do and you're not looking to move forward, and you're just giving up, for lack of a better word.
So is there a smooth line for someone to follow? I mean, we're focusing on getting unstuck is basically what we're talking about. So it does, first of all, along the road, it requires someone to realize in their life that they're stuck. I mean, that's number one, right? Is there a process or an avenue that we can prescribe that will help somebody?
Realize that they're stuck, or to try to get out of being stuck. Yeah, I think when I've been stuck many times, and when I'm getting stuck is, I grew up in Western New York in the Buffalo area. When you're spinning your wheels, you're pushing on the gas, but you're spinning the wheels in the snow, and you're not going anywhere. All right, so you realize you know you're stuck, but what are you going to do about it? Am I really stuck, or is this just something that occurs in life, just a daily frustration or nonsense? But if it continues over and over again, and you're running into the same situation constantly, and you're having the same thought patterns and the same feelings, then you're stuck. Not stuck. All right? Now, we're going to get unstuck. All right? Realize these thought patterns are not helping me. They're not making things better for me. How do I change my thought processes? How do I change the neural pathways in my brain? Which you can do. It can be done. And there's places people that can help you do that. But it's to take the toxic thought that comes into your head, and it's going to go, someone explained it to me this way, Andy. They said, when you come up to a situation, you go back into your data bank, right? And your data bank is going to give you answers that you've been through in the past, or things you've experienced in the past. Well, most of those were wrong. So you're going to continue to follow that pattern. So you have to stop and realize, all right, let's think this through differently. Let's look at it from a different set of eyes, or a different lens. Or what if I did this? And when I was in the tech world, the two most powerful words that I ever ran into was what if. And you want to talk about people who are stuck. Talk to high-end technical people. They're stuck, right? This is what we do, and it's been working. It's our best practice. And they say, yeah, but what if we did this? So if you're in your life and you say that to yourself, what if I tried this? What's the worst that can happen if I tried this? Okay, maybe I waste a day of my life. Maybe it's something that could have been better. But what if it was positive? And what if you enjoyed it? And what if you started meeting people who had similar interests that you had? What if that occurred instead? And when you keep your mind, Dr. Carol Dweck wrote the book, Open Mindset. When you keep an open mindset, you allow these ideas to come into your head, and you say, what if? Or let's try it. And that's what you have to do. That's what I found, at least in my 70 years on the planet.
Somebody who's watching this, what might kind of be a call for action?
Call to action is believe in yourself, number one. Okay, you are worth it. It doesn't matter what you've been through and you think my time is over, my day is past. That's not the case. You still have a great deal to offer, and you are worth it. And what you have is valuable. That's the first thing that I tell people all the time, is believe in yourself and then look for these opportunities as they present themselves. Don't just always say no. Don't just always say no. Investigate it, try it, see what happens. Do what if.
I like that. Well, Frank, I thank you so much. Frank Zaccari is the author of Business and Personal Secrets for Getting Unstuck. He has a great quote. How do you do anything is how you do everything, including a successful business. Thanks, Frank. All right, we know Mimi is cooking up something wonderful in the kitchen. Let's check in.
I'm back. We're gonna cook the prawns first. Let's do it with not a lot of it takes approximately 6 minutes to cook this. You just cook 3 minutes from each side and it should be okay. There you go. Ooh, that's so good. I'll put this one here. Alrighty, we're gonna, so my spinach is all cut up, my tomatoes, garlic. Look at that. Before I go, I'm gonna show you how you need the prawns to be like nice color like this. They're not opaque anymore. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Nini. We will see you on Friday. Now, I want to thank you so much for supporting the show. If you liked it or you learned something new, I want to tell you 3 ways that you can support the show and keep the Let's Talk Variety show going, all right? Now, number 1 is just get yourself subscribed. Every show I am bringing inspirational guests who can teach or have something, interesting to share. So just take a moment to hit that subscribe button. And number 2, this is really the ultimate way to support the Let's Talk Variety show, and it takes less than a minute to do so. You can write something, short and sweet, like, I love this show. It has changed your life, or something that you learned from it. I am not exaggerating that I read reviews every single day, and every single one, whether it's short or long, it means everything to me. And the more reviews means the higher we rank on all those algorithms, which means bigger guests. So just take a minute to leave a review. And then number 3, share the show with your friends. Just hit that share button. We live stream on Monday, Wednesday, and on Friday. I'm eternally grateful. Thank you so much for supporting the Let's Talk Variety show. All about productivity and positivity, happiness, and inspiration.